What is config-driven infrastructure as code? It uses JSON or YAML files to determine the final infrastructure. It simplifies projects by reducing the amount of code to maintain. Config files can be collected from external APIs, and it standardizes resource implementations. This use case uses a Palo Alto Panorama example to show how config-driven infrastructure as code can help keep a firewall project organized versus the usual way of using infrastructure as code. Firewalls are a good example as their configs can easily grow to thousands of objects and rules, which would quickly become unmanageable when writing a code block for each object. Let's take a look at the root module. Local block 1 reads and parses each YAML file and then properly formats the data for use within the resources. Local block 2 stores the outputs from each of the modules by the resource key name, then distributes the data to other modules, maintaining the deployment order of resources. All of the modules wait for their dependencies to complete. Each one loops through its respective data stored within local block 1, while the other dependencies are retrieved from local block 2. Let's take a look at how the data flows through the project. Each YAML file is read in by local block 1. YAML files are read in as a string, so we use the YAML decode function to parse it into a YAML subset. A for loop is used to format the subset into a structure that works better when used in the for each parameter of a resource. The same process is repeated for the other YAML files. The tags module is the first to be created as it has no other dependencies on the other modules. Next, the data is sent to the addresses and services modules. Looking at the address module, we have two input variables, one for tags and one for the addresses. When we look at the configuration of this resource, we can see that there is a for each defined. This is going to create a loop that will go through each of the addresses defined in var.addresses. The description and the value fields use the data as it is defined for the current iterative. The name field uses a lookup function which looks for the name property, and if that doesn't exist, we'll fall back to the key. The name parameter is optional in the YAML data, but is used in the case that the object needs to be renamed. The tag field uses a for loop that is iterating over the array of tags defined for the current iterative. For each of the tags defined, it looks up if the tag exists within var.tags. If it does not, it will return an empty string. The for loop is wrapped within a compact function. This removes any empty values from the array, leaving us with an array that only contains valid tags. The output also uses a for loop, which creates a map with the resource keys to the address name field. This process is continued for the groups module and then finishes with the roles module.